All right, the announcement, I'm sure you've heard it several times today. And, of course, this podcast usually comes at the end of a day or the beginning of the next day. So you've already heard all this, but Pfizer's vaccine has debuted in Britain as the world's first fully tested vaccine. And, of course, at the Orange Bastard's little round table get-together this morning so he could talk about what a wonderful man he is to the pharmaceutical companies, Pfizer didn't attend, nor did Moderna. And you can believe whatever reason you choose to believe as to why they were not in attendance, but the fact is they were not. Anyway, enough of that. Britain's National Health Service, you know, the socialists, those dirty, rotten socialist bastards, yeah, the ones that will destroy your ability to go to your own doctor, your own hospital, your own cemetery. That's according to the right-wing nutcases in this country. But Britain's National Health Service delivered its first shots of this vaccine this morning. And in the process, they opened a mass vaccination campaign that, as the New York Times reports, has little precedent in modern medicine. And it is making the British the first people in the world to receive a clinically authorized, fully tested vaccine. Oh, but wait, we're number one. We're number one. USA, USA. We're number one. USA. 4 more years. Lock her up. Lock her up. Thank you, National Health Service. Thank you, Great Britain. Anyway, if you want specifics, it's 6:31 a.m. this morning, local time in the UK, Margaret Keenan, aged 90, a former jewelry shop assistant, rolled up the sleeve of her Merry Christmas t-shirt and received the first injection. And in that process, Margaret Keenan, of course, becomes an emblem or the face of this remarkable race that has been going on since January of this year, to produce a vaccine. And along with that, the global effort in some countries, under some leadership, to end a pandemic that has killed 1.5 million people worldwide, approaching 300,000 in this country. And yes, we have had some Herculean efforts of frontline workers and doctors and researchers and biotechnicians and epidemiologists and that whole enormous family of scientific medical researchers in this country have been working. But the one thing lacking was leadership. This filthy punk Donald Trump provided no leadership. In fact, he provided the opposite of leadership. He turned and fled like the coward that he is, and he left this nation to fend for itself. Look what this son of a bitch has brought. Look what this son of a bitch has brought. Miss Keenan, who lives in Coventry, Central England, she said, quote, "I feel so privileged to be the first person vaccinated against COVID-19. It means I can finally look forward to spending time with my family and friends in the new year after being on my own for most of the year." God, you gotta love the Brits, don't you? 90 years old, this woman. So anyway, the regulators in Britain, because they have a form of leadership that provides for the ability to be a lot more flexible, a lot more able to respond to bad news as well as good, to make decisions. Much more flexible form of government than we have here. But they leapt ahead of the Americans last week to authorize this vaccine, which upset the orange bastard, Donald Trump. Oh, he was so upset because, he's worked harder than he ever has in his life to develop a vaccine to fight the deadly coronavirus that will soon disappear as soon as warm weather comes. What if we had 15 cases? Don't worry about it. We've got it under control. Nothing's going to happen. It's going to go away. Trump. So Trump today issued an executive order, at least that was the plan, proclaiming, now I want you to hear this. This is Trump. This is the kind of filthy, self-referential, maniacally egotistical, malignantly narcissistic son of a bitch, Donald Trump, trying to foist his sickness onto the rest of us. Here's what he said. I'm not going to quote, but he said that in this executive order, it proclaimed that other nations will not get our supplies of the vaccine until Americans have been inoculated. Now, why is that so weird? Because it's a directive that means shit. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean a thing. There's no real teeth to it. The United States will have one of the more restricted, when you factor in our population, supplies of this vaccine because of this half-ass's lack of leadership. But it was indicative of everything that Trump stands for. You can't have it. This is mine. And the extension of that, nobody else can have it because I'm such a protector of the American people. Right, American people? Let me hear it. Yay for me. Yay. Can I hear a little louder? Yay, yay, yay. Come on. Jesus. Now, for the people who have been receiving or are receiving the vaccinations in Britain, and among that first group are the doctors and nurses who have really fortified and stuck with and supported and worked their asses off in the National Health Service this year. You know, that socialistic, communistic, destructive, Bernie Sanders, Raphael Warnock, John Ossoff, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer bullshit, communism. I just wish the people who say that in this country would just sit down and shut up. You're useless. You're worthless. Just sit down and shut up and let people who care about their brothers and sisters, regardless of race or creed, to get the job done. You cucumbers and you conspiracy theorists and you half-witted assholes, why don't you just, like I've suggested, there are millions upon millions of acres available for you in the Russian taiga, in Siberia. Just hundreds, thousands of miles of forests. Why don't you go there? Why don't you get out of this country? Slime. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.